Hi everyone. We now continue with the lecture on provisional remedies. Our topic for today is support pendentalite under Rule 61. Okay. Um, Support pendentalite is one of the provisional remedies given to actions for support or normally in actions for um, nullity of marriages during the pendency of the action, considering that there are persons who might be dependent on the petitioner for support, okay, they can ask for support pendentalite under Rule 61. Now, how do you apply for support pendentalite? At the commencement of the action or at any time prior to the judgment, a verified application for support pendentalite may be filed by the party stating the grounds for the claim and the financial condition of both parties, accompanied by affidavits, depositions, or other documents in support thereof. So you file a verified application stating your right. So normally, okay, support, you are entitled to support if you can prove your affiliation to the person from whom you're asking for support. And you also have to prove your financial condition, that you are in need of support, as well as the capacity of the person who is obliged to provide support. Now, what will the court do upon the filing of the application? It will require the respondent a copy of the application first, and the supporting documents shall be served upon the respondent, who shall have 5 days to comment. The comment shall be verified and shall also be accompanied by affidavits, depositions, or other authentic documents. Now, upon the filing of the comment, or if none is filed after the expiration of the period to file, the application shall be set for hearing for not more than 3 days thereafter. Okay, and then after the hearing, the court shall determine provisionally the pertinent facts. If the application is granted, the court shall fix the amount of support to be provisionally paid or such other forms of support, taking into account the necessities of the applicant and the resources or means of the adverse party, the terms of payment. If the application is denied, the principal case shall be tried and decided as early as possible. Okay. If the adverse party fails to comply with an order for support pendente lite, the court shall, motu proprio upon motion, issue an order of execution without prejudice to his liability for contempt. So this is one of the very few instances when you can issue a writ of execution even though the main case is still being tried. So the writ of execution pertains to the provisional remedy of support pendente lite. When the person ordered to give support refuses or fails to do so, any third person may, after due notice and hearing, obtain a writ of execution to enforce his right of reimbursement against the person ordered to provide support. Because as you all know, when you took up persons and family relations, you know for a fact that a third person can advance the required support, okay, with a right to be reimbursed from the person who is obliged to provide support. Okay, this support pendentalita is not only available in civil cases for support, but it can also be availed of in criminal cases. In criminal actions where the civil liability includes support for the offspring as a consequence of the crime, and the civil aspect has not been waived, reserved, or instituted prior to its filing, the accused may be ordered to provide support pendente lite to the child born to the offended party because of the crime. The application may be filed successively by the offended party, her parents, grandparents, guardians, or the state in the corresponding criminal case. Now, Section 7 provides for restitution. While the judgment or final order of the court finds that the person who has been providing support is not liable, it shall order the recipient to return to the former the amounts already paid with legal interest from the date of actual payment without prejudice to the right of the recipient to obtain reimbursement in a separate action from the person legally obliged to give support. So you must remember that support pendente lite is a provisional remedy. So it is provided while the main action for support is still being tried. So if in the end, the court finds that the person who was adjudged to provide support pendente lite is not really obliged, for example, because the DNA test, okay, show that he was really not the father, then restitution shall be ordered by the court. Now, what are the factors to be considered in determining the amount of provisional support? Of course, the financial resources of both the custodial and non-custodial parent. Okay, the physical and emotional health of the child and his special needs. The standard of living that the child has been accustomed to, non-monetary contributions that the parents will make towards the care of the child. Support may come from properties of the absolute community, the ability of the supporting spouse taking into account his earning capacity, earned and unearned income, assets and standard of living, age and health of the spouses. Okay? You must remember that what comprises support, it is anything which is indispensable for sustenance, dwelling, clothing, medical attendance, education, and transportation. We have the case of Lua versus Lua. Susan filed an action to declare her marriage null and void with the respondent, Danilo. Now, during the pendency of the action, she applied for support pendente lite. She was claiming the amount of 500,000 because according to her, her husband had huge earnings. Okay? The issue is whether certain expenses already incurred by the respondent may be deducted from the total support in arrears owing to the petitioner and her children. Okay? Article 194 of the Family Code provides that support comprises everything indispensable for sustenance, dwelling, clothing, medical attendance, education, and transportation in keeping with the financial capacity of the family. The amount of support will be in proportion to the resources or means of the giver and the needs of the recipient. Here, the Court of Appeal should not have allowed all the expenses incurred by the respondent to be credited against the accrued support pendente lite. Okay, we have the case of Gotardo versus Uli. Okay, for you to be entitled to support, you must first prove your filiation. One can prove the filiation through a document, a written document, wherein the person who is obliged to give support acknowledges the filiation or through other secondary means of proof. So in this case, the respondent established that the petitioner is the putative father of Tifse through testimony that she had been sexually involved only with one man at the time of her conception. Since filiation is beyond question, support follows as a matter of obligation. A parent is obliged to support his child, whether legitimate or illegitimate. The amount of support is variable And because of this, in actions for support, it does not attain finality. There is no final judgment because the amount of support will vary depending upon the necessities of the receiver and the means of the giver. It may be reduced or increased proportionately according to the reduction or increase of the necessities of the recipient and the resources or means of the person obliged to give support. So that is all for support. Thank you for listening.